All right, Algebra 2, Math Excel homework, problem 2.4.18. So these things that are called complex numbers, they have a real number part and an imaginary number part. So just the 3 would be the real part, the 5i there would be the imaginary part. And so if you have real and imaginary numbers combined, they make complex numbers. So just a reminder that we call I the square root of -1. Ends up being that we can actually do some really cool stuff with some nanotechnology, electronics sort of things that are, at one time they just said you can't do this. If they got a square root of -36, they would have stopped. If I was going to show you a little preview, it's going to come up later. If I had 2 minus 3i and times what we call the conjugate 2 plus 3i, this is a really a preview of a concept we're doing later on. But so you FOIL this out. 2 times 2, 4. That's the first 2, why the FOIL. The outside 2, 2 times the 3i would be 6i. The inside 2, so that was FOI. -3i times 2 would be a -6i. And then the last 2, FOIL, F-O-I-L. And -3i times a +3i would be a -9i squared. So the middle 2 terms here, those are going to always cancel each other out when you multiply these things that are called conjugates of each other. But what about the I squared here on this -9i squared? Well, if you go back up here to when I said I was a square root of -1, if I square both sides, this is kind of getting to the whole idea of things were imaginary, but we can do something with them to make them back into a real thing. And that's what, when they figured that out, there's some cool stuff that our lives have benefited from. So we have I squared. Squared takes off a square root. So when you take the square root off there, look, now we've got something with an I, but it's a real number. Sometimes you might use this, I cubed, being I squared times I to the first, right? Add those 2 and 1. But I squared is -1 times this I, so that's just -I. Okay, so that was for I cubed. So far we have the original I was square root of -1. I squared came out to -1. I cubed. Sometimes you'll use -I for that. And then the last one, I to the 4th. Can I say that's I squared times I squared, or I squared squared if you'd rather? So then this would be -1 times -1. Or if you think of it this way, that would be -1 squared. Means the same thing, right? Which comes out to 1. So that's the one that then is also really helpful later on as well that we may use. So that's something called, when you multiply these conjugates, because look back over here now. This I squared, what did we say I squared was going to be up here? -1. So this is -9 times -1. We still have this 4. And so that's a negative times a negative, a positive, a plus. So then we're going to get our answer for this thing of a real number 13, even though we started out with things that had imaginary. Anyway, that's for later on, but I thought of it when I saw this problem. So back over here, all you do here is you combine your like terms. Don't forget to distribute this subtraction inside of these parentheses. That's a common mistake that oftentimes someone will make. This negative's got to go on this 6, but it's got to go over here on this -5i. So really, this is sort of like you've got that. Did I remember to distribute my minus on both of those? Looks like it, -6. And the minus would be a plus 5i. 3 minus 6, -3. 5i plus 5i, 10i. That would be your answer. Now, sometimes the problem will ask this. It'll say, if a plus bi is your answer, what does a equal and what does b equal? And you'll just be typing those in separate spots. So your a here would be this -3, and your B would just be the 10 part. So I think in this problem, they're asking you to actually type it out like this, so your answer will be in this form. But I do want to point out that if it gives it to you like this, in the A plus BI, and they just ask you to type in the A and the B, especially the B part is what throws some people off. It's just the 10 part. So with that, complex numbers with addition and subtraction, it's just combining like terms. Don't make it too hard. Good luck.